Linda Shaw, owner of the Riverside Corner Cafe on 3rd Street, is pouring coffee at 5:30 a.m. when the door chimes for the third time this week. It's not a customer. It's Marcus Crowley, 48, wearing a black outdoor research jacket, a VanQuest backpack slung over his right shoulder. He orders a double espresso, no sugar, sets the cup precisely 4 inches from the edge of the table, and checks his Garmin Instinct solar watch. 5:37 a.m. According to Linda, he's arrived at the same time, with a margin of error of 90 seconds for 7 straight years. Beneath the watch, a crescent-shaped burn scar runs across his wrist, a remnant of surgery at Langley Military Hospital in 2003, when a grenade shrapnel severed his radial artery. His surgeon, Dr. Evans, recalls, he refused anesthesia, said he needed to stay sharp for his debrief. By 6 a.m., Marcus is on the trail near the Missouri River. Jim Thornton, the mailman, saw him every morning at the same bend. He ran with a weighted pack, 33 pounds, he once told me. In his right hand, a cold steel spike-tipped cane. Not for balance, for testing the ground. His apartment, number 302 on Birch Avenue, looked like a field outpost. His downstairs neighbor, Mrs. Ellen, complained about nighttime clicking sounds. He was reloading pistol magazines, empty ones, just drills. The living room wall held a map of Great Falls, Montana, marked with 27 red pins, each a disappearance from 1978 to 2023. Co-workers at Montana Adventures Tour Company knew him as the Professor. Cave guide Sarah Mitchell. He could recite the exact length of every cable on Black Eagle Bridge, down to the centimeter. 141 feet on the main span, 39 on the sides, inspected them monthly. On July 20th, 3 days before vanishing, Marcus visited Arrow Arms. Owner Greg Hass noticed something off. He bought 2 new Garmin InReach Mini 2 GPS trackers, said his old ones were glitching. But technician Ryan Chen tested them. They worked fine. At 2 p.m. that day, he requested archives at the city library. Librarian Martha Vale remembered his ask. October 1984 papers, especially coverage of the hydroplant accident. When she brought the files, he sliced out one photo with an ESEE 5 knife, later found in his backpack. The image showed workers by Turbine Hall 3. One man was circled in pen. On July 22nd, 12 hours before his last tour, Marcus called his ex-wife, Lisa Crowley. The call lasted exactly 4 minutes. She said he only muttered, "Checked every angle, not a coincidence," then hung up. His notebook from that night read, 10:17 p.m. Levels dropping, like before. On July 23rd, Disappearance Day, he broke routine. No visit to Linda's Cafe. Instead, fisherman Tommy Grant spotted him at the old dock at 6:45 a.m. Stood there 20 minutes watching the current, pulled out a copper key on a cord, held it to the light, then pocketed it. At 12:30 p.m., he stopped at Central Avenue Pharmacy. Pharmacist Alice Kent. Bought atropine, said it was for an expedition, but Montana has no plants that need that antidote. His last meal, a 2:15 p.m. Subway receipt, turkey sandwich, no sauce, an apple. Cashier Jessica Wright. He counted the meat slices, 5, asked for a 6th. At 7:30 p.m., bridge cameras captured him testing a Phoenix PD36R flashlight. His pocket checklist showed 100% battery, yet in an 8:47 p.m. photo, the beam was dim. Phoenix engineer Dave Colson later confirmed that'd require a voltage spike or deliberate tampering. At 8:15 p.m., he met his group at the bridge. Tourist Carol Edwards recalled, he ran his hand along the railing 3 times, like searching, stopped abruptly at the 3rd beam. Fresh micro-scratches were found there later. 8:30 p.m. Tour begins. Tourist Mike Terry's audio recorder picks up Marcus explaining the bridge's construction. His voice is steady, but metal clanging echoes in the background, like something striking pipes below. He pauses for 12 seconds. Resumes, faster now. 8:42 p.m. Linda Shaw's camera. Marcus shows the group the 1984 photo. On the back, his handwriting. They were all wrong, not the water, the gap. 8:47 p.m. Final photo. His left hand reaches toward his jacket pocket, where his knife usually sat. But the knife stayed in his pack. Body language expert, Dr. Amy Keller. That's someone bracing for a threat from behind. Yet the shot shows only river. 8:49 p.m. His trackers die simultaneously, despite separate power sources. Technician Ryan Chen. Like someone hit off on both at once, physically impossible. 8:51 p.m. His watch stops. Weather station data shows the bridge's temperature plunging from 64-degree crime to 57-degree crime in 90 seconds. No anomalies within 6 miles. 8:53 p.m. A Montana goods warehouse camera catches a black-jacketed figure climbing the hydro plant's ruined stairs. Climbing expert Carl Reed. No gear? Impossible, especially in the dark. 9:15 p.m. Motion sensors trigger in the plant's basement. 3-second audio. Pure silence. Acoustics engineer Paul Vincent. Like a mic turned on in a vacuum. His apartment laptop was left open. A map with 2 blinking dots, one at the bridge, the other directly beneath the hydro plant. Depth, 223 feet. Geologist Anna Lane. No cavities there, just solid rock. In his desk drawer, a 1984 newspaper clipping. Headline, Another Vanishing at Black Eagle. The article mentions worker Joseph Clark, found 3 days later, with his watch stopped at 9:15 p.m. Marcus's final notebook entry, 7:58 p.m. on July 23rd. They leave markers, the keys in the gap. Time isn't a line, it's a staircase, and someone's descending. 8:30 p.m., Black Eagle Bridge, Montana. Marcus Crowley switches on his Phoenix PD-36R flashlight, its beam cutting through the rusted bridge girders. 6 tourists form a semicircle behind him. According to Mike Terry's audio recording, Marcus's first instructions are crisp. We're following the northern span. Stay clear of the railing. The metal's thinner than it looks. The river wind picks up, but his voice cuts through the rushing water. 8:33 p.m. Linda Shaw would later recall a detail. When he pointed at the old pylons, his hand jerked, like he'd seen something in the water, but I looked, just reflections from the bridge lights. 8:37 p.m. Surveillance footage from Montana Brew Cafe shows the group passing by, Marcus leading. Bartender Jacob Morris. He was half a step faster than usual. Didn't glance back, though he always checked to keep the group together. 8:42 p.m. The dictaphone captures Marcus pulling out a 1984 photograph. Carol Edwards. He said, "See this man, Joseph Clark. He vanished right here, but that's not the strange part. His watch stopped at 9:15 p.m. Then he flipped the photo over, fast, like he didn't want us reading the back." 8:45 p.m. The bridge's thermal sensor reads 63 degrees, 17 degrees. 6 minutes later, it drops to 57 degrees, 14 degrees. NOAA meteorologist Jenna Wallace. A 6-degree plunge only happens during storms here, but the sky was clear. 8:47 p.m. The last photo. Linda's camera catches Marcus facing away, his Phoenix flashlight flickering in his left hand. Phoenix engineer Dave Colson, after testing the same model, confirms that battery drain requires either an EMP or deliberate tampering. 8:48 p.m. Tourist testimonies agree. Marcus turns and says, "Wait here, I need to check something by the water." His final words, recorded, "1 minute. If I'm not back in 5, call 911. Don't follow me down." 8:49 p.m. Both Garmin GPS trackers, belt buckle and jacket pocket, deactivate simultaneously. Garmin technician Ryan Chen. Separate power sources, lithium battery and solar panel. Only way to kill both? Physical destruction or a 1.575 GHz jamming signal. Military-grade tech. 8:51 p.m. His Garmin Instinct solar watch freezes. Police logs show the group isn't alarmed yet, but a Montana goods warehouse camera 500 feet, 150 meters away already, films a black-jacketed figure on the hydrostation stairs. 8:53 p.m. Climber Carl Reed, who inspected the station. Stairs collapse after the third landing. You'd need climbing gear. Marcus's equipment remained in his VanQuest backpack on the bridge. 8:55 p.m. Tourist Ben Harper. His flashlight by the water didn't fade. Snapped off like a switch. 8:57 p.m. Linda describes a smell. Iodine and honey. Wind carried it from those old pipes. 9:00 p.m. The group calls 911. Dispatcher Laura Jeans logs. Missing guide report. Claim his light was just visible by the river, now gone. 9:02 p.m. Patrol arrives. Officer Derek Mayo's report. VanQuest pack by the railing, zipped shut. Contents: EC5 knife, first aid kit, GPS tracker, all present, except Marcus. 9:05 p.m. K9 units search the riverbank. Handler Sam Wheels. Dogs picked up a scent at the water's edge, ends 3 feet, 1 meter out, like he vanished mid-air. 9:15 p.m. Motion sensors trigger in the hydrostation basement. Audio analysis, silence. Engineer Paul Vincent. Just 30 decibels, soundproof room levels. 9:20 p.m. Police find the Phoenix flashlight at the river's edge. Officer Mayo. Off, but 89% battery. Power button wasn't locked. 9:30 p.m. USGS data shows the river dropped 4.7 inches, 12 centimeters in 10 minutes. Geologist Anna Lane. No upstream dam releases. Cause unknown. 9:45 p.m. Great Falls Hydro Staff Review logs. Dispatcher Mark Tillman. At 8:53 p.m., sensors detected a voltage spike in the 1948 grid. It's been offline since 2012. 10:00 p.m. Police find Marcus's laptop. Tech Alice Jang. On screen, coordinates under the station. Depth, 223 feet, 68 meters. Software tracked an object ascending at 9.8 FTS, 3 ms. Timestamp, 8:51 p.m. 10:30 p.m. Joseph Clark's relative, missing since 1984, produces his watch. Officer Mayo's notes. Citizen Aqualand model. Stopped at 9:15 p.m., same as tonight's sensors. 11:00 p.m. Detective Aaron Moss examines the 1984 photo. Enhanced version reveals workers near Turbine Dummerker 3 and a black-jacketed figure in the shadows. Forensic analyst Dan Lee. Not a film defect. The silhouette was either added later or always there. 11:30 p.m. A copper key on a leather cord surfaces in the basement. Prints match Marcus. Station keeper Lewis Gray. This room's been locked since 1984. Key went missing with Clark. 12:15 a.m. Tech Ryan Chen reviews tracker data. At 8:49 p.m., both errored, altitude undetermined. Altimeter read 223 feet and 68 meters. 12:30 a.m. Meteorologist Wallace confirms the 8:51 p.m. temperature drop was localized, a 13-foot, 4-meter radius under the bridge. 1GEM police cross-check footage. The warehouse camera shows the figure at 8:53 p.m., but the group saw Marcus by the water at 8:51 p.m. Detective Moss. Either the clock's wrong, the camera's wrong, or 1:30 a.m. Marcus's notebook contains a bridge schematic. A red line traces a path from girder number 3 to the old pipes. Margin note, 22-minute gap, 1984-2023. 2:00 a.m. Geologist Lane analyzes water samples. Tritium levels 40x above normal. No nuclear sites within 125 miles, 200 kilometers. 3 a.m. Case suspended. Official ruling, accident. Unanswered. Why the flashlight flickered. Why the trackers failed. Why clocks stopped at 8:51 p.m. And crucially, what Marcus saw in the water 60 seconds before vanishing. Final police log entry. Warehouse footage, 8:53 p.m. The figure on the stairs turns its head. Image blurred, but lip-read analysis confirms the words. Made it. They're coming. 8:51 p.m. Marcus's watch froze at this exact time, but the group hadn't yet realized what was happening. Linda Shaw later recalled, "We were leaning against the railing, laughing at Ben's ghost story. I glanced at my Apple Watch, 8:52 p.m. The wind turned colder, and I zipped up my jacket. 8:53 p.m. Ben Harper was the first to notice something was wrong. The flashlight by the water just died. Not like a fading battery, it cut out instantly. I yelled, 'Marcus?' Nothing, just the sound of water lapping against the pylons. 8:55 p.m. Carol Edwards pulled out her phone. I called his number. Right in my ear, the automated voice said, 'The subscriber is temporarily unavailable.' Weird. An hour earlier, he had full bars. 8:57 p.m. Mike Terry turned on his iPhone flashlight and pointed it downward. All we saw were the exposed pylons. His flashlight was lying on the rocks near the water. No splash marks, no footprints on the gravel. 9:00 p.m. Linda dialed 911. Dispatcher Laura Jeans logged the call. Female caller reports a missing guide near Black Eagle Bridge, Montana. States he's ex-military, wouldn't just fall. 9:02 p.m. The first patrol units arrived 7 minutes later. Officer Derek Mayo examined the backpack. Vanquest Markhor with a pararescue patch. Inside the pocket, a GPS tracker. Screen was dark. 9:05 p.m. The K9 unit picked up a scent at the water's edge. Handler Sam Wheeler held his palm at knee level. They were tracking nose down, then suddenly looked up, circling the same spot, like he just vanished into thin air. 9:07 p.m. Police technician Alice Zhang inspected the flashlight. Batteries at 89%. Powers on instantly. No water damage. No signs of impact. 9:10 p.m. On the opposite bank, 19-year-old Sarah watched the search unfold. I saw their flashlights scanning the water. Then, something glinted in the old pipes, like a phone screen, but there's no signal there. 9:12 p.m. Officer Mayo examined the pylons. Fresh scratches about 3 feet up, too narrow for boot marks. The metallurgist later confirmed. Tool marks with 67% copper content. 9:15 p.m. At that moment, sensors at the hydro plant detected movement. Dispatcher Mark Tillman reviewed the logs. Only the basement triggered. No cameras, but the mics recorded. Silence. 30 decibels. 9:17 p.m. Geologist Anna Lane checked USGS data. Water levels dropped 5 inches in 10 minutes. No upstream sensors showed similar fluctuations. 9:20 p.m. Bartender Jacob from Montana Brew recalled, "A man sat here that night, ordered whiskey but never drank, just stared at the bridge. When the cops arrived, he left a copper token behind." 9:22 p.m. Technician Ryan Chen analyzed the tracker data. Both devices shut off at 8:49 p.m. Last coordinates point directly beneath the bridge, depth, -223 feet, 9:25 p.m. Linda showed investigators a photo from 8:47 p.m. See, in the background, near the pipes, a silhouette, not one of ours. Marcus noticed. That's why he went to check. 9:27 p.m. Surveillance footage from Montana Goods, 500 yards away, showed a figure in a black jacket ascending the station stairs at 8:53 p.m. Climber Carl Reed inspected the structure. The third flights collapsed. Impossible without gear. 9:30 p.m. Marcus's laptop was found open in his apartment. On screen, a map tracking an object moving at 7 mph from a depth of 223 feet. Start time, 8:51 p.m., 9:32 p.m. Marcus's pararescue teammate, Jason Hale, reviewed his notes. He'd documented disappearances near this bridge since 1978, always in July, always during water level drops. 9:35 p.m. Detective Aaron Moss found a calculation in his notebook. 1984-2023, 39-year gap, 22-minute time shift. Next to it, a diagram labeled, "They're sinking their watches." 9:37 p.m. A copper key was discovered in the station basement. Caretaker Louis Gray. This key went missing in 1984. Door hasn't been opened since, but inside smelled like fresh metal. 9:40 p.m. Acoustic expert Paul Vincent analyzed the hydro plant recordings. At 9:15 p.m., mics picked up an 11 Hz infrasound, typical precursor to earthquakes, but seismographs registered nothing. 9:42 p.m. Meteorologist Jenna Wallace displayed thermal imaging. At 8:51 p.m., a perfect 13-foot circle under the bridge registered 57 degrees. Ambient temp was 63 degrees. 9:45 p.m. Joseph Clark's family handed over his watch. Citizen Aqualand stopped at 9:15 p.m. on July 11, 1984. Detective Moss placed it beside Marcus's. Identical mechanical failure. 9:47 p.m. Technician Zhang found an encrypted file on Marcus's laptop. Decryption revealed one line. They take those who see the pattern. 9:50 p.m. The river abruptly returned to its original level. Geologist Lane noted, no cause, like an invisible dam released. 9:52 p.m. The final warehouse camera frame showed the silhouette turning its head. Lip reader Dan Lee translated, "Made it. They're coming." 9:55 p.m. The dogs returned to the water but stopped at the third pylon. Handler Wheeler pointed upward. Barking at empty air, 10 feet up. 9:57 p.m. Officer Mayo's report concluded, backpack, flashlight, watch, all accounted for, just not the man who prepared for everything, except this. 10:00 p.m. Detective Moss closed the case with one notation. Suspended pending new evidence. At the last second, she added, or until the next one vanishes, July 22nd, exactly 22 years later. 10:03 p.m. Detective Aaron Moss laid out two watches on the table, Marcus's watch and one belonging to Joseph Clark, who vanished in 1984. Technician Ryan Chen connected them to a spectrometer. Identical quartz resonator failure, as if a powerful electromagnetic pulse hit right when they stopped. 10:05 p.m. Inside Marcus's apartment, his ex-wife Lisa Crowley guided police through his study. This is his archive. Every folder is date-labeled. She pointed to an empty section. July 11th, 1984. Clark's file was here. And this. From beneath a stack of papers, she pulled a copper plate engraved with 22 minutes. 10:07 p.m. Marcus's pararescue teammate Jason Hale examined the plate. Standard issue 1982 Army dog tag. But the engraving's fresh. See? Numbers aren't laser cut, etched with acid. 10:10 p.m. Hydroplant supervisor. Louis Gray led investigators to the basement. Door only opens from outside. Medico-biaxial lock, unpickable. But inside, his flashlight beam froze on the floor. Dust undisturbed except for this. A perfect 5-foot circle. Like something stood here. 10:12 p.m. Tech Alice Zhang sampled the air. CO2 17% below baseline, oxygen at 23.1%. These readings match sealed chambers post-decompression. 10:15 p.m. Geologist Anna Lane compared topographic maps. Same anomaly recorded here in 1984 and 2023. Magnetometer shows localized disturbance at 223 feet depth. Shapes a perfect torus. 10:17 p.m. Police Captain Dan Forbes reviewed emergency calls. 7 missing persons reports at Black Eagle Bridge on July 11th across 50 years. All between 8:45 and 9:30 p.m., all males aged 25-50. 10:20 p.m. Bartender Jacob handed detectives a copper token left by a mystery patron. Not a coin. Back has coordinates. 475032 to Gren, 111-2834 to Grand W, directly beneath the bridge. 10:22 p.m. Climber Carl Reed rappelled to the piers. Here, 3 parallel scratches. His camera captured the marks. 67-degree angle, precisely 0.12 inches deep. 10:25 p.m. Technician Chen enhanced warehouse footage. Frame 8:53 p.m. Zoom in. See that shadow? Not cast by bridge lights. Light source is below. 10:27 p.m. K9. Rex suddenly snarled at an empty basement wall. Handler Sam Wheeler froze. He only reacts like this to one scent: ozone. 10:30 p.m. Meteorologist Jenna Wallace checked historical data. At 8:51 p.m. on 7/11/2023, NOAA recorded a pressure spike, 30.26 nhg, exact same as 9:15 p.m. on 7/11/1984. 10:32 p.m. Acoustic expert Paul Vincent synced hydrophone recordings. 11 Hz infrasound pulsed in modulated bursts, repeats every 22 seconds. 10:35 p.m. Detective Moss unfolded Marcus's map. Every disappearance plotted. Here's the pattern. Her finger connected dots. Each triangle shifts exactly 72 feet downstream. 10:37 p.m. Technician Zhang cracked open the watch. Quartz crystal melted. No external heat damage, like energy surged from within. 10:40 p.m. Jason Hale displayed Marcus's archived photo. Joseph Clark 1 hour before vanishing. See? Same flickering lantern, same gesture, adjusting his watch. 10:42 p.m. Louis Gray found a 1984 station log entry. 9:15 p.m. Basement sensors triggered, checked, silent. Temp dropped to 57 degree. 10:45 p.m. Materials specialist Greg Simons analyzed the pier scratches. 67% copper, 22% nickel, 11% unknown element. No industrial alloy matches this. 10:47 p.m. Lisa Crowley opened Marcus's safe. His secret. Inside, a notebook of schematics. Final page showed a mechanism labeled phase synchronizers. 10:50 p.m. Captain Forbes cross-referenced evidence. All missing men wore copper, rings, bracelets. Marcus had a key around his neck. 10:52 p.m. Technician Chen ran magnetic simulations. If this is a toroidal anomaly, every 39 years He stared at the screen. It's not random, it's targeted. 10:55 p.m. Detective Moss arranged evidence. Watches, key, token, photographs. She traced the timeline. 1984, 2023. Next cycle's 2062. So why did Marcus vanish now? 10:57 p.m. Jason Hale accessed Marcus's laptop. Last entry. On screen, a formula noted, interval decreasing, 39 years, 22:11. 11 SAWS p.m. The precinct plunged into darkness. When generators kicked in, one item was missing from the table, Marcus's copper key. 11:02 p.m. Guard Tom Weil reported, cameras show movement at the bridge. The feed displayed a black-jacketed figure ascending stairs. Timestamp 10:22 p.m., 11:05 p.m. Kennel dogs began howling. Handler Wheeler checked sensors. Infrasound, 11 Hz, matches the recording. 11:07 p.m. Geologist Lane updated. Water level dropping again, 0.4 inches per minute, same rate as 8:51 p.m. 11:10 p.m. Technician Chen spotted an anomaly. All cameras within 1,640 feet sync except one. The warehouse clock runs exactly 22 minutes slow. 11:12 p.m. Detective Moss checked her watch. 11:12 p.m. She opened Clark's file. His disappearance was logged at 11:34 p.m. 11:15 p.m. Hydroplant basement sensors reactivated. This time, microphones captured sound. 11 seconds of metallic grinding. 11:17 p.m. Jason Hale produced a copper token. Marcus gave me this a week earlier. Said, if the watches stop, throw it in the water. 11:20 p.m. Fresh scratches appeared on the bridge. Climber Reed's thermal imaging showed their temperature, 57 degrees bar, identical to the anomaly zone. 11:22 p.m. Marcus's landline rang. Lisa lifted the receiver. Just breathing and ticking like a mechanical watch. 11:25 p.m. Technician Zhang printed the infrasound spectrogram. Not random, structured, repeating 22 pulse sequences. 11:27 p.m. Captain Forbes got a patrol update. Bridge appears empty, but weight sensors detect 187 libs on span 3. 11:30 p.m. Detective Moss closed the case file. A new note now graced its cover. Next synchronization in 22 minutes. 11:32 p.m. Detective Erin Moss shifted her gaze from the case file to the monitor, where Technician Chen was analyzing hydrophone data in real time. Frequency: 11 Hz pulses every 22 seconds. On the desk in front of her lay a spectrogram printout, vertical lines forming a distinct pattern, almost like a barcode. 11:34 p.m. Patrol Officer Derek Mays called the precinct. The water level dropped another inch. New pilings exposed. One has fresh scratches, 3 parallel lines. Depth, 1/8 of an inch. 11:35 p.m. Jason Hale stepped outside, gripping a copper token. Surveillance cameras captured him approaching the bridge railing, checking his watch. 11:35:22 p.m. before tossing the token into the water. 11:36 p.m. The hydrophones registered a splash. Not water, acoustic. Frequency spiked to 22 Hz, then flatlined. The radar screen displayed a circular anomaly, 5 feet in diameter, drifting upstream. 11:37 p.m. Motion sensors in the hydroplant basement triggered again. This time, the mics picked up more than scraping. A voice. Male, raspy, uttering a single word. Synchronization. 11:38 p.m. Technician Zhang checked the magnetometer. Anomaly moved 72 feet upstream, toroidal shape holding, but now pulsing, 11 cycles per minute. 11:40 p.m. Lisa Crowley, sorting through Marcus's files, found an envelope labeled Aaron's Eyes Only. Inside, a 1984 photo of Black Eagle Bridge. Coordinates on the back, 47.5032 degree RN, 111.2834 degree RW, and a time, 11:42 p.m., 11:41 p.m. Rex, the K9 in the kennel, abruptly fell silent. Handler Wheeler checked the feed. Dog staring at a corner, hackles raised. Room temp dropped to 57 degrees. 11:42 p.m. Detective Moss cross-referenced the coordinates. The spot matched where the scratched piling was found. She checked her watch. 11:42 p.m. 11:43 p.m. The warehouse cameras, running 22 minutes behind, recorded movement. A silhouette in a black jacket approached a window, then spun away. Timestamp, 11:21 p.m. 11:44 p.m. Geologist Anna Lane reported riverbed data. Water temp at the anomaly's epicenter, 52 degrees. At 223 feet deep, zero current, like a stagnant lake. 11:45 p.m. Jason Hale returned to the precinct. His watch, synced to atomic time, read 11:45, 11 p.m. Every wall clock showed 11:45, 33 p.m. 11:46 p.m. Technician Chen found a discrepancy. Hydrophone infrasound and basement recordings matched to the millisecond, but were offset by exactly 22 minutes. 11:47 p.m. Detective Moss opened Marcus's notebook. The last entry, below a schematic. 22 minutes isn't a time interval, it's a distance. 11:48 p.m. Captain Forbes pulled archives. Joseph Clark vanished in 1984 at 11:34 p.m. Marcus in 2023 at 8:51 p.m. Difference, 2 hours 43 minutes, but subtract 22 minutes. 11:49 p.m. Lisa Crowley called. Marcus's laptop just powered on. Screen shows a countdown, 00:22:0. 11:50 p.m. Bridge weight sensors spiked, 187 lbs on the third span. Cameras showed nothing, but mics picked up footsteps. Slow, heavy. 11:51 p.m. Technician Zhang measured basement ozone, 67 ppb. Identical to the 1984 reading before Clark's disappearance. 11:52 p.m. Jason Hale pulled a second copper token from his pocket, the one bartender Jacob gave him. Engraved on the back, 11:07/2062. 11:53 p.m. Detective Moss connected the dots. All disappearances formed a straight line, 67 degrees off the river's flow. Length, 72 feet. 11:54 p.m. Marcus's laptop timer hit 0.10. Lisa noticed the screen flickering at 11 hertz. The room smelled of wet metal. 11:55 p.m. Climber Carl Reed radioed from the pilings. Someone's here. Temps 57 degrees in one spot. And silence. Then 3 new scratches. 11:56 p.m. Precinct clocks lagged. Technician Chen confirmed. 22-second discrepancy over 10 minutes. 11:57 p.m. The kennel dogs howled in unison. Handler Wheeler checked sensors. Infrasound 22 hertz. 11:58 p.m. The black-jacketed silhouette on the warehouse feed stepped toward the lens. The footage cut at 11:36 p.m. local time. 11:59 p.m. Lisa texted a screenshot. Marcus's timer at 00:30. In the window's reflection, a faint outline of the black-jacketed figure. 12:00 a.m. A blackout hit within 1,640 feet of the bridge. Backup generators kicked in after 11 seconds. 12:01 a.m. When power returned, the 1984 bridge photo was gone. In its place, Marcus's copper pendant key. 12:02 a.m. Jason Hale noticed his watch was back in sync. The discrepancy had vanished. 12:03 a.m. The hydro plant basement temp spiked, 57 degrees Celsius to 72 degrees Celsius in 11 seconds. Then silence. 12:04 a.m. Technician Zhang printed the latest data. Magnetic anomaly gone, water level rising, 0.4 inches per minute. 12:05 a.m. Detective Moss looked out the window. The moonlit bridge stood empty, except for an object under a street lamp. 12:06 a.m. Officer Mays retrieved it. A wristwatch frozen at 12 degrees. 12:07 a.m. Lisa's final call. The laptop timer stopped. Screen reads, synchronization complete. 12:08 a.m. The precinct fell silent. Captain Forbes closed the case file. Next to next sync, he wrote 2062. 12:09 a.m. Jason Hale stepped outside. The cloudless sky framed the moon directly above the bridge's center span. 12:10 a.m. Technician Chen shut down his PC. The last message. File corrupted. Recovery impossible. 12:11 a.m. Detective Moss placed Marcus's watch in evidence. The hands still pointed to midnight. 12:12 a.m. The river returned to normal. No ripples, no debris. Just the moon's reflection, blurred by mist. 12:13 a.m. Hydro plant sensors triggered again. No audio this time, but the guard swore he heard footsteps. 12:14 a.m. Lisa closed Marcus's laptop. The room reeked of ozone. On the desk, the copper key that vanished from the precinct. 12:15 a.m. Jason Hale checked his watch. It kept perfect time now, but he knew it wouldn't last. 12:16 a.m. Detective Moss left the precinct. A lone street lamp flickered on the bridge. At 11 Hertz, 12:17 a.m. The river's surface turned pitch black, reflecting nothing, not even the moon. 12:18 a.m. Somewhere beyond the camera's reach, someone adjusted their wristwatch. 12:19 a.m. A new cycle began.